Just a few pictures to edit in this batch. I'm going to start with this squirrel. I try to get really low down as usual when I see animals or birds. This is the original picture. Just a little flat, and I just decrease the highlights and increase the contrast, increase the shadows, but I'll drop the shadows a little bit actually. I try to adjust this tone curve. I think that actually looks better. I like that. Let's see the original. That's the original, and that's after. Now, what would I have done differently? Gotten down lower for sure and cropped in even more. Maybe like this. Yeah, I think that would have been better. Wait, it looks like I'm looking down at the squirrel right now. Actually, is this a squirrel or a chipmunk? I think it's a squirrel. Looks like a squirrel. All right, next picture. I was at a beach close by, and this bird was eating what looks like a tiny little crab or something. I took maybe 6 pictures of this scene, and I think this was the best one. Now, this is the one I thought was the sharpest, and I was some distance away shooting with maybe a 600mm lens. Let me see if I could see the details. Nope, this was a 70 to 350, so not very far away. All right, I wish I had used a faster shutter speed. This is only 1/160th of a second, so you could see that it's not very sharp. And the ISO was 125, so it was bright enough because the sun was behind, the sun was hitting it on this side. All right, so let me see what I can do with this. It looks like it's reasonably exposed here. Nothing is overexposed, nothing seems to be clipped. So let me first use auto to see what that does. I don't like that at all. So let's drop the whites and increase the contrast. Maybe keep the exposure. And then let's mess with the tone curve just a little bit. And maybe raise the exposure a little bit. Maybe like that, and drop the whites. All right, let's see what that looks like before and after. It's before, after. All right, what would I have done differently? Maybe I wish I had a longer lens that I could have cropped in more. Because if I try it right now, there might be a significant loss of detail. But let's try it. Let me try it and see. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. All right, next one, I was just shooting down at the sand. I like the shape of this. What the markings in the sand. I liked it, but I'm not sure what I would have done differently. It does not seem like I constructed this in the best possible way. What I could have done differently is kind of show the beginning of this. Right now it looks like I got a part of a tree starting from down here, right? So I cut it off. So I wish I had centered the camera a little bit more on this. It was clear that this was the subject. Yeah, anyways, this is the before and after picture. That's the before. So it was severely underexposed. Looks like it might have been, okay, ISO 50. So I think that's below the base ISO for this camera. All right, next picture. Some of these shots, I learned a lot because I come home and I think not everything that I see that looks pretty deserves to be to be in a picture frame. So this has a lot of color. It looked interesting at the time, but now I'm not so sure what the point of this picture is. This is what caught my eye here. This little bit of moss that was growing off of the side of this rock. This rock is about the size of 2 human fists. There's nothing that gives it scale. I guess people could imagine that based on the seaweed here, it's not a huge boulder. But there's nothing that says here is the subject. So unfortunately, this is a wasted photo in my view. But I'm going to edit it nonetheless. So I wouldn't know what to do with this except to delete it. Let me batch delete. So this is of the same piece or same rock, but from a different angle. So I tried different things, and I think this was a little bit better. Now I wish there was something in here. Maybe I could Photoshop something in it. I wish there was something in here that was, actually that gives me an idea. I wish there was something in here that was a clear subject. That would have been cool. That would have been really cool. Actually, I'm gonna Photoshop something on it. I might just do that. All right, but I like how this looked. This is the before, this is the after. And I like how this looks already, so I'm gonna leave that as is. And I tried to do the same thing, but even closer this time. And I prefer this one, because here the top of the rock is cut off. I suppose you can see through here even more, but I prefer that this one gives it more context, whatever that means. What I'm trying to say is you can tell more of what's going on. All right, the next shot was of this jellyfish that I think is dead, and I realized just now that I got this snail off to the side. Now I wish I had focused on that. This is what caught my eye, the jellyfish. I think it's a jellyfish, but then now I see this. All right, so let me edit this and see. Okay, it's a little bit too bright, so let me drop the whites, drop the highlights even more, increase the contrast, and then I kind of like that already. Fortunately, the plane of focus is directly in line or with the snail and the jellyfish. So it's just both the snail and the jellyfish are on the same focal plane, fortunately. And I think I like that. Let me see before, after. I like that. This one looks like, I think they call it a clam, and it looks to be still alive. What would I have done differently with this picture? I wish I had taken it from a different angle, because a part of it is obscured right here. But there's a lot of color in here. I wish I could have gotten down even lower to get it, because it looks like I'm looking down at it. I mean, it's better than actually shooting down on it in my view. Maybe I should have tried that. But this is the before, that's the after. Let me increase the contrast. And what if I increase the overall saturation? And then let's put the S curve on this. Let's see what the before looks like. That's before, that's after. Yeah, that's better, I think. All right, this one would have had a bunch of snails on this rock, and I thought it looked interesting. So I figured let me get a shot at it. So let me see if I can edit this. Let me try black and white first. Not really. All right, so color, that does something already. Let's increase the contrast. And let me increase the exposure just a tiny bit. Let me put an S curve on here. And then what about if I put a color on here to make the green pop a little more? Yeah, okay, cool. And then actually I think I like that, let me drop the shadows just a little bit more. All right, let's see before and after. Let me see, that's before, that's after. What would I have done differently? Maybe I didn't need all of the snails on here, I don't think. Maybe take it from a different angle and zoom into just this bit. If I try to crop in right now, let me see what that looks like. Yeah, I see how that's a little bit better. All right. This was at a bridge in the park. I'm on the bridge here, and this is a picture of the bridge. Now, I like this picture, but the sky looks like it's blown out. And it wasn't even a long exposure, I don't think. Yeah, 1/160th of a second. I still could have dropped, or I could have used a filter, or closed down the aperture. I mean, we use a wider aperture to get the sky darker. But let me see what I can do if I put a mask on the sky. Okay, let me drop the exposure. Wow, that's awesome. Drop the exposure there. And then drop the highlights. Got some detail back. Got some contrast there. Man, that's pretty cool. Alright, and then let's get that back. That's better already. That's better. And let's do auto. So before, I couldn't even tell that there was a bird in the sky. It was so blown out. I mean, barely right there. But this is after, and that looks so much better. So much better already. All right, let me then straighten this so the water line is in line with the... Okay, that looks better already, I think. Maybe the camera is tilted. Perhaps that's it. All right. What about the greens? Maybe I can increase the overall saturation, and then pick a color. Pick a color to just change the saturation just a little bit. Okay, that's not too bad. And what about this green here? That's so cool. All right. What would I have done differently? Well, I tried to do it differently here by stepping back. Unfortunately, I got this big branch in the way. I don't know why I rushed to take the shot. I could have just stepped a little bit to the left or to the right, perhaps to the left, so I could get the thing in the middle. And then I would have gotten, this branch would not be in the way, unfortunately. Let's do auto. It's not too bad. Let's put a mask on the sky, and it will drop the exposure a little bit, drop the highlights, and then increase the contrast, drop the whites. All right, let's see before and after so far. That's before, that's after, that's something else. That's a little bit better, a little bit better. Put the curve on here. All right, so that's not too bad. All right, the next one, I think this might be one of the best ones of the lot. I liked how I got the shot showing the stream disappearing off in the distance. There's a lot of green in this picture, and I like how that looked. Incidentally, the Canon camera, I have an old Canon camera that I like how the green is rendered in the Canon camera. But I guess there's nothing you can fix in post. So I like how this looks already. There's not much I would do with this. Not much else I would do with this. Except maybe I would have gotten on a little bit lower. I don't know. Maybe if I had done, instead of a landscape photo, maybe a portrait type photo, and then angle the camera so it's shooting down the stream. Right? I think that would have been better. All right, let's see before and after. That's before, that's after. All right, the last three, I tried to get some tiny things in focus that were some distance away. And in this instance, it was this bunch of flowers here. And I like how they were just jutting out on this, what seemingly dead tree here. But there's a lot of life around, as you can see. All right, so let me edit that. So that looks good already. I didn't want to crop in too much because I wanted to show the contrast between the seemingly dead vegetation and the flower that looks so beautiful growing out of it. Nothing profound, I just thought it looked interesting. And let me increase the contrast, put an S-curve on here. It doesn't seem to be out over or underexposed, which is awesome. And then let me increase the saturation a little bit. Let me pick purple, just to increase the luminance, just trying different things here. Okay, and then what if I drop the shadows a little bit? All right, so let me see what would have happened if I cropped in a little bit closer. Let me try that and see. Yeah, I prefer the other one. Yeah, I prefer that. I prefer that. All right. And two more. This one, all the flowers weren't blooming, but I was still going for the same effect of the flower growing out of something unusual. Let me edit this to see what it looks like. It's not too bad. I wish I had taken it from a different angle so I would get the flower blooming, or at least to shoot inside the bloom. Yeah, and I didn't need all of this detail, so maybe I could have zoomed in a little bit more or stepped closer if I was at max zoom. I was not. Wait, what's this? Oh, it was on a prime lens. I could have gotten closer if possible, and that would have done the trick, I think. And the last one was this mushroom growing on the side of a tree that was felled. It doesn't have a lot of color except this brown. Immediately I don't like what the alto does. Let me drop the whites a little bit. Increase the contrast. I wish I had done maybe wider focal plane. This looks like it's f2.5. So maybe f4. Cause it looks like part of the mushroom's in focus and most of it's out of focus. So that would be a trash picture. Trash picture. Looks like there might even be some camera trick here. Maybe. Alright, but all in all, I think this might be the best of the lot. This one right here. I think. I also liked this one. Alright, that's it. Take care.